And it's great to be here. I love coming back to India, and I love coming, obviously, back to Chennai. It's been so long since we've been able to play a game at Chepauk Stadium, so I know the players and all the coaching staff are really excited about the match coming up, but I'm sure the fans are going to be even more excited. So we're looking forward to having a completely packed house, making lots of noise, lots of yellow shirts, and I know it'll really lift the players. You know, it'll lift them up, and hopefully they can put in a great show.
We're talking about the 2011 World Cup. Back then in the quarterfinals, Australia took on India and a very vocal home support. What was the feeling in the Australian camp before that encounter?
Yeah, it was some bad memories really for us, unfortunately. But no, it was obviously a great game. I think Ricky Ponting, we batted first and he made a magnificent century, and we felt as though we had a good chance because the pitch was deteriorating quite a bit. But I think to India's credit, that they batted beautifully. They chased down the target. I think throughout that whole World Cup, there was just a bit of a sense of something special in that Indian team. You know, throughout their whole campaign, I think some teams can really buckle under the pressure of playing a World Cup in front of home fans. But I got the sense that this Indian team, they almost embraced it and enjoyed that experience all the way along the way. I thought they played some outstanding cricket, deserved to be there. You know, in the final and to win the final, I think it was they were fitting victors. Unfortunately, they beat us along the way in the quarterfinals, but I think the better team won on the day.
MS, as you went into that encounter, you were taking on the defending champions, a team that had won this cup 3 times before. Was there ever a daunting feeling before you took to the field?
Well, if you're playing Australia, you know, when it comes to the ICC events, most of the teams, you know, who are participating are very good teams. Amongst them also, if you talk about Australia, you know, they're one team that doesn't really give up. You know, that doesn't mean that other teams do, but, you know, they're known for that, you know, irrespective of what the situation is. You know, they play very tough cricket till the end, you know, till the result is not out. So we all knew it will be a big challenge. We didn't have a lot of emphasis on the stats, you know. Stats can really help you at times, but also, you know, stats are meant to be broken. And one of the biggest thing was to, you know, break the fact that none of the host teams till that point of time had won a World Cup. So that in itself was big. So you always, you know, you pick and choose, and you could say, fair enough, Australia is a very strong team, but we were able to beat them in the CB series. You know, it's not very often that, you know, you are able to beat an Australian team in Australia, especially if it's a 3-match final series and, you know, you don't get into the last game of the tournament. So we all knew what needs to be done, and we all knew that it won't come easy. You know, when it comes to Australia, it will never come easy. Then losing the toss on a wicket, you know, slightly on the slower side. So yeah, you knew, you know, it's a tough script where, you know, everybody will have to contribute. You'll have to be at your best, and it was a tough game. You know, they batted really well on that wicket to get score that was maybe a par plus score. And a lot was needed from our side to get those runs. So, you know, fortunate to be on the winning side, but I think it was the hard work, you know, that was put in.
Also, this was an Australian side that hadn't been beaten in knockout games since 1996. But going back to that match, 261 was the target. At one point, India were 187 for 5. Did you ever feel, we've got this one in the bag?
No, never felt that at all. I think... as MS said, it was a really hard-fought game, you know, and it sort of ebbed and flowed. I think India got off to a pretty good start in the run chase. Gambhir batted well. I think Sehwag batted well. Sachin batted well as well. Then we managed to pick up a few wickets along the way, and it was probably in the balance. But I think Yuvraj was just having, you know, an amazing tournament, and he took the game away from us at the end. I think it was Suresh Raina at the end to help India towards that victory target. And they scored so quickly on a pitch that was really deteriorating and turning quite a lot. I was just amazed at how well they played under that enormous pressure in a big game like a quarter-final to be able to just take the game away from us in such a, I guess, disciplined and professional manner. It was just a phenomenal performance. And so, yeah, we were very deflated, you know, by the end of it, and disappointed, obviously, to lose, but obviously full credit to the Indian team because they deserved to win that match.
MS, how much belief did you get from that Yuvraj Singh, Suresh Raina partnership? How did the dressing room feel when things started to take off?
Well, we were quite confident of the fact that, if we play to our potential, we'll win the tournament. It was very simple. The toughest thing would be, how to be calm, how to make sure that the strongest playing 11 is available. We had experienced people in the side, which meant they have been playing international cricket for a long time. Most of them were playing all the 3 formats, so which means the wear and tear of the body was there. So, our biggest challenge was to keep them fresh and at the same time injury-free. So we knew if we are able to manage that, and if we are playing to 80-90% of the potential that we have, we will win the tournament. And, we were glad we were able to. And we never questioned ourselves. Irrespective of the opposition we played, the condition or wherever the match was, we were not questioning ourselves. We kept it very nice, we kept it very calm, and we said, we know what needs to be done. We have played this format for a very long time. We had a settled team before the start of the tournament and said, keep performing your role and responsibility and will the game.
After that match against Australia came the semi-final against Pakistan. How did you and the team cut out the noise that is usually associated with these high-profile games?
Well, the noise is always there, whenever India and Pakistan are playing. And everybody has faced it in the sense, when I said, they were experienced players in the side, which means they have been playing for a very long time, and some of them were part of the 2003 World Cup, some of them, later on in various series that they have played or ICC events. So they knew how to handle it. The only thing different was, it was happening in India. So, of course, there was a bit more noise about it. And, when you know what is coming, so you go in a press conference, if you're playing Pakistan, the first question that is asked is something of the sort. And so, you know what is really expected of you. And we said we'll keep it very simple whenever it comes to Pakistan. Anyways, everything gets amplified by 10 to 15%. Even when you say that, okay, there's nothing really, we want to keep it as simple as possible, still, it will escalate by 10, 15%. And as a professional, you don't want anything beyond it, because it becomes slightly more difficult to manage, and, you want to concentrate on the process. And when you start taking, when you are a bit more anxious, when you're carrying a bit more burden on your head, to execute your plans is slightly difficult, to keep it simple becomes difficult. So we said, we don't want to talk a lot about it, but at the same time, we wanted to absorb whatever was coming to us, because there was no way that these questions won't be asked. It's like a high-valued cricket match, and we all know that this is something that will happen, and we just embraced it. We said, okay, let it flow the way it wants to flow.
And if that match was high value, the grand finale followed. India waited 28 years to get their hands on that ODI World Cup, and the whole nation wanted to win it for another reason, as a tribute to a certain Sachin Tendulkar, who was 22 years into his legendary career. It didn't get much bigger than this.
It never gets bigger than that. And, the main thing is, what I always firmly believe in is, keep your eyes on the target, keep it as simple as possible. Once you have achieved it, that's a time when you can enjoy it to the fullest. And the moment you start thinking a lot about, why you want to win it, you start focusing more on the result, that's a time, start mounting undue pressure on yourself. Yes, we all almost knew that it was Paji's last 50-over World Cup. And, throughout the tournament, we had that feeling that we want to do it for him. But at the same time, often you have something going in your mind where you said, God has given him everything. At times just, God keeps one thing away from every individual. Is it that, 50-over World Cup, that God has decided that he will keep with himself? But we said, we'll try our best. We'll make sure that we are giving 100%, when it comes to all the cricket matches, and we'll accept the results. So at the end, very happy to be on the winning side, but it took a lot from the full team. And the support staff, they played a very vital role.
You were part of the winning side. You were part of the winning moment. Let's talk about that last moment of victory. What were the emotions, thoughts when you saw that ball flying into the stands?
A sense of satisfaction. Oh, yes, we have achieved it, done. That monkey is off the back. But again, the best feeling was actually 15-20 minutes before. We didn't need a lot of runs. The partnership was well placed, there was a lot of dew, and the stadium started singing Vande Mataram. That atmosphere, I feel, is very difficult to recreate. Maybe in this World Cup, there's a similar scenario, and once the stadium, the fans start contributing like that, it's a very difficult one to replicate. But it can only be replicated if the occasion is similar to that, and there are like 40, 50 or 60,000 people, who are singing it. So to me, it was not the winning moment. It was actually 15, 20 minutes before that, when emotionally I was very high. And at the same time, I wanted to get done with it because we knew that, we will win this from here. And it was very difficult for us to lose. So yes, it was more of a sense of satisfaction. Yes, job done. Let's move on from here.
India's best 12th man, the fans. Undoubtedly so. A big round of applause for each one of you in the stadium today. What inspired that iconic bat twirl?
No, it just happened on its own. No, it wasn't planned. It just went up. It started moving on its own. In fact, after that, as is a trend, when you go for some endorsement work, they want to capitalize on the most recent thing. And one of that was, why don't you do the same celebration? I was like, why don't you create a World Cup? There's some things that are left at the ground. And it's actually very funny when you do a lot of endorsement work, they want you to have that thing, in your eye when you're playing a shot. And then it starts getting diluted. They're like, we want that focus. I'm like, fair enough, but where's the ball? You have to focus on something. Yeah. Then the second question will be, you play your shot, you try to fake it, and you play your shot. Then be like, the bat actually moved too fast, so it's a bit blurred, so can you slow it down? I'm like, you are taking everything away from me, but you want the same situation. I'm like, why don't you just use it from the game? That's the best expression you will get, because we are not expressing ourselves there. It just comes naturally. So, yeah, that's how it is.
Mike, you've known MS for a number of years. You've worked with him for a number of years. What, according to you, makes him the man for the big moment?
I think, well, there's so many different things. But probably, obviously, everyone knows how cool he is under pressure and calm under pressure. I think that's probably one thing that stands out. I think the great thing that I've observed is that you've got a great ability to take pressure off people by just helping them relax, helping them just to go out there and play the game. Some days you win, some days you don't, and I think that's a very good skill, particularly in a place like India, to make people feel really comfortable, back them, to go out there and execute their skills. And some days it works out for you and some days it doesn't. So I think that's probably a really good skill that he's had over the years.
Winning that World Cup, bringing it home to India in 2011, what impact do you think that has left on Indian cricket?
Well, if you talk about Indian cricket, it's constantly evolving. Not to forget, there are lots of rule changes that keep on happening. The way cricket is played, where the average fitness of the team was in 2011, if you compare it to where it is now. So we have constantly moved up, and I feel that's what really happens. And a big, as cricketers, we need a big round of applause need to goes to the fans also, because, ultimately you want the fans to appreciate cricket. We cricketers, we are like, performing in a circus. We want to have that stadium that is full of fans, crowd that is chanting for you or for the team, irrespective of which team they are supporting. So let's say we go to Australia. We want the fans to support Australia, but when it comes to the Indian fans, they are everywhere. So the plus point with the Indian cricket team playing is we'll have a percentage of fans wherever we are playing. You make us play in Australia, you make us play in New Zealand or West Indies, everywhere. So I always felt that, fans are the real power behind, pushing the cricket team, to keep evolving, keep getting better. Yes, then comes the administrators, BCCI is there, ICC is there, and the team management. Ultimately, what is important is to have a clear picture. We want to be here when it comes to the fitness levels. These are the rule changes that have been implemented in the last couple of years. So how we need to change our cricket. A lot of things have changed. 2011 reverse sweep was an entity that you would hardly see. And today, a lot of times, you'll ask, oh, do you play a reverse sweep? And you're not really surprised when the guy says, yeah, I play it a bit. So a lot has changed when it comes to cricket. And what the 2011 World Cup did, it's quite similar to the 83 one, where, the fans start believing even more in the team. that yes, we are winning the ICC trophies, we are winning the big tournaments, and we want to continue doing that. So I feel it's like a spark that is really needed every time and again, for the fans to keep backing the team, and for the cricketers to keep improving themselves, keep improvising how they play cricket.
Wonderfully put. MS, Mike, thank you so much for taking this little walk down memory lane with us. But it is time now to present MS with the digital collectible of the evening, the winning moment from the Cricket World Cup of 2011. I'd like to invite Anshum and Finn on stage once again.
Apologies for that. Just click play. It'll work. It just takes some time.
A quick reminder, only 7 minutes of this iconic